AI music is just getting insane. So this was made by AI in seconds, just to play you a little snippet. Like, that's ridiculous, okay? I just typed in, this is on Suno, by the way, in case you're curious, 90s rock song about Zigzag Production Studio, this channel, and it made this in seconds, right? Like, little grainy, but it made this all together. It created the lyrics, the melody, the riffs, the rhythms, all the instruments, the vocal melodies themselves, not just in terms of singing, but like everything. Here's another example, right? Down in the dirty streets of Zigzag City where the drums get clean. Little cheesy at points, right? But like, this reminds me of something that would be in like a 90s or 2000s, like high school or college video, you know, but I kept going. I'm like, okay, let me like look at some of these other ones. So fortunately, I did a tribute video on my vlog channel, about the legendary 99-cent only store is officially closing. If you don't know what that is, might as well say that's a side note because it's important. It was like a legendary chain here on the West Coast. It's almost like the In-N-Out of dollar stores, not just Dollar Tree. Like, and it's crazy the deals they had. And so I was like, you know what if I just try to make another AI song, call it one about like the dollar store. This one sounds a bit off, but then they get more interesting, right? Step into the dollar store, what you looking for? Ain't nothing over, it's the ultimate score. So as a side note too, make me a 90s hip-hop song about the 99-cent store. So household essentials too, name a thing, they got it just for me and you. So I'm not gonna lie, the mixing horrible, the mastering is very, very, I don't even know what, right? So these are definitely far from perfect, but it's crazy how good they are. I mean, not this one, but I went to create another one. And if someone showed me this, I think it was legit. That's, I mean. Step into the 99-cent store where you can find anything you need. You see the lyrics here, obviously. Snacks to the toys to the household goods. You never know what treasures you could find in these hoods. Check the aisles, they got it all. From the clean supplies to the like. Yo, step into the 99-cent store. Skip ahead a little bit. At the 99-cent store. At the 99-cent store. Right, it is pretty ridiculous how smart this is getting. Then I did one about In-N-Out. I figured to make another one just for the sake of this video. Now this, super muddy. Like, I'm not sure why, for some reason, some of these, like, the mixing is actually super muddy, but it's still pretty insane. Let's skip to the chorus. Now this one, I actually think sounds pretty bad, if you want to be honest. I feel like if anything, the ones I made earlier, which was with, they have two different versions, version 2, version 3. I think version 3 is supposed to be better in terms of their, like, algorithm, but it seems like version 2 sounds better. But again, I'm just going to play you some of these that I did. Oh yeah, this one I liked. I remember this one I liked. Reminds me a little bit of ska, too, like a ska vibe, kind of. Now, like I said, the vocal's a bit grainy at points. This is far from, like, perfect, but it just blows my mind of how good AI is getting. I think this one was already... Or is this one bad, I thought? I can't remember. No. Oh, yeah, so this sounds like trash. Okay, so they're not all perfect, right? But it's crazy how good they're getting, especially these ones I showed you up here. Like this one especially. Like, that's on pretty clean. I'm you know. So it makes sense that maybe like when it comes to rapping, it's easy for AI to make it because there's not much of a melody adjustment on the vocals and the pitch as much as typical singing, right? But and then I made this one. I just typed in "make me a '90s electronic music song about Fuchero," basically me. I wasn't sure what I was gonna make too because I didn't tell it, you know. So they mispronounced my name. It's Fuchero, not Fuchero, but that low end is actually pretty well done. And then we have another one here. I feel like not bad, you know? Although they butcher my name. Alright, let's move ahead a little bit. I mean, so here's my thing. I'm just not. I think what's tricky, I think it's a good place to start. I'm trying to like collect my thoughts of this. Is we remember how fast ChatGPT went from being like a kind of fun thing to talk to now being crazily smart and doing stuff in, you know, numerous different ways. Now it is, you know, of course, image generation. We probably have seen, I think it's called Sora, which have not released yet, at least the exact time of this video. That's AI generated video, and it's scarily accurate. And stuff like this is crazy to see how far AI is coming, right? And it's something, again, that I'm just, you know, like I said, I've called it, again, just put a name to it, really, the Fuchero test, kind of as a joke, in the sense that the Turing test being, if I'm talking to somebody and I can't tell if they're human or robot, that means that the AI has, quote-unquote, passed the Turing test, because I can't tell the difference between the AI or robot. Likewise, I'm going to call, like I said in a few videos, just like a way to give it like a name, the Fuchero test, where can I tell if this song was created by AI or human? And I'm going to be honest, some of these ones, especially the 90s hip-hop ones specifically, I think because the vocals, I think, are the hardest thing to emulate for AI, especially giving melody adjustment, right, and pitch dynamics and not making them sound too grainy or kind of off. Like, that 90s hip-hop song, someone said, hey, Mark, because the 99-cent store is closing, which I guess, have to say as a side note, way better than Dollar Tree. It's like, however good or not good you might think it is, trust me, if you've never been to the 99-cent only store and you come to the West Coast, unfortunately they're closing in a couple months, but the deals you can get are insane, right? So, I don't know. But, and someone came to me and gave me that song and said, hey, what do you think? I made this as a tribute to the 99-cent only store. I'd be like, oh, this is good. It would not occur to me that it was made by AI. A couple things might sound off, but also, and I've said this before in a couple other videos because I've already talked about AI music here and there, I've heard of human-made songs, as weird as it is to say, but human-made songs that sounded more muddy or not as good mix, or things sounded a bit off. Even the vocals sounded just maybe a bit too distorted because they didn't process them correctly. I've heard songs made by humans that sounded worse than stuff like this. And that's where things are getting so crazy. Now, I have had some comments be posted on this channel when I've talked about AI music, being like, well, Mark, you know, you're just worried because, like, maybe your music isn't that good and AI music's better and everything. And this does go down an aggressive rabbit hole, but we're kind of in that rabbit hole now where it's tough because, like, I'm not going to lie. Some of these songs, like the Zigzag City one I showed you at first, I found catchier. Like that riff, the Zigzag City when the music is loud, that kind of thing. I found that riff, that melody, a bit more catchy than human-made rock songs I've heard. And maybe if I have the choice, which sounds, I know, a bit crazy to say, I might prefer some of these, and I do prefer some of these, just out of pure listening aesthetics. I prefer listening to some of these more than other human-made songs I just wasn't the biggest fan of, right? And so it does go down this crazy, odd, dangerous rabbit hole of, could it be this factor, or the fact in general, that people might start preferring AI music as opposed to human-made music? Could that be a thing? Now, I know initially most of my musicians say no. I feel like I disagree. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say, but I think here's what's tricky. All music is an algorithm. Same thing with art, entertainment. As much as we like to say there's some creativeness to human nature, it still is, at the end of the day, some form of like structure that we use to create something of art, whether it's poetry, music, comedy, etc. And it's not that weird at all to me, to the fact that AI could create something with a way smarter algorithm, or yeah, with way smarter algorithms, because it understands it so much better than most humans, to the point where we're like, you know what? This actually just, when we listen to a great song and you have that, what's called, I know a lot of people call it like an eargasm is one phrase, or like you listen to a song, you're like, whoa, this is just, like you want to listen to it on repeat. Could it be that AI makes a song that you're like, this just hits everything I love about music, whether it's electronic or rock or hip hop or whatever? It's not that infeasible. Now, granted, we'll have to see what happens in the future. This video is more of just like something to show you, see how powerful things are getting and how it's, in my opinion, a bit scary, right? I mean, you look at what happened with the writer's strike, right, when it comes to here in Los Angeles, about a lot of writers being worried about AI, and understandable. I could go on to Chat GPT right now and say, write me a script for a movie for 2 hours that involves, I don't know, mob stuff, similar to like Goodfellas, for example. And in seconds, it would create that for me. That is ultra scary, and it could be, and it makes sense, that AI could make something better and quicker than a human could, and we're kind of almost already at that point too. I guarantee if I said to AI, I do blogging once in a while, I guarantee if I said to AI, hey, write me a blog post about the future of, I don't know, like fitness and working out because of new studies or something, it could probably write something quicker and faster for me than I could write myself even. And that's where things get tricky, is with AI music starting to become so prevalent and becoming very difficult to distinguish if it's AI or not when it comes to, like, say, the Ficero test, like I said, really it's the Turing test with music. What will that mean for the future? And I've said before, a lot of stores are kind of vague right now. DistroKid hasn't really said anything. They're kind of like, hey, whatever stores do, we'll agree with. Spotify doesn't really seem like they have a stance on it yet, but also another thing too is, what way could it go, in the sense that, let's say I do release a song that's mine, and they say, hey, Mark, this is AI, and I'm like, wait, no, it's not. How could they be able to tell? In addition to, right, if, let's say I go to release something that's AI, it could pass because maybe they think, oh, this sounds so good, it's so human-like that we can't tell. Could it be, though, for a lot of musicians? And granted, I think there is something about I think maybe the fun and the art of making music, and this work comes down to now a huge fork of the road, and that is making music versus listening to music. Like I said, I did get a comment of someone saying, I think the only reason why a lot of people are afraid of AI music is because it could make music better than them, that people would prefer listening to rather than humans. And they got a point, because if you think about it, I probably will never stop making music. I like making music because I enjoy making music, right? It's something that I enjoy doing as a hobby, as a craft. Obviously, that's what I do full time, right? I make music and make YouTube videos. And that makes sense. However, as a listener, that's a whole other ballgame, right? It could be that for a lot of listeners, they might listen to a song and say, hey, I prefer this song more to Ficero's music, and I'd rather listen to this AI. But then that brings to the whole question of, for all these full-time musicians, again, this is where things like automation, AI kind of come into play, where before I think people were like, okay, I don't want AI to affect, I used to be an accountant. I don't want AI to affect accounting, which is something that's been a big talk, right? Because accounting, a lot of numbers and data crunching and stuff like that. But now we're moving into this whole creative realm of, let's say, if you're a painter, you're a comedian, you're a musician, could it be that people start preferring AI more than your own works? Again, this is all kind of speculation. This video is blended like a fireside chat video, like I said. Just kind of like saying my thoughts, because which is kind of tough. I think I almost have to be inevitably invested in what's going on with AI. I am very pessimistic with AI as a side note. Very, very against it. But it's crazy seeing where this goes. However, will there be a stopping point? Like, as this gets more powerful, it is almost 100% inevitable. Beyond 100% inevitable. Maybe we're already there, actually. That AI will get so good, it will make a song exactly like a human. You cannot tell the difference, and that's going to be the future. And maybe it will be that AI can make music even better than humans, and we can't do anything about it. Maybe we're technically already there. Some of these songs do sound better than tracks I've received as demos from people of saying, hey, Mark, check out my new song, some of these sound better than that. I hate to say it. So we're almost already there, but could there be something about that human element that maybe people still want, right? For example, I was doing some research about AI and how this I thought was interesting is chess. Now, chess, we all know, I think it was, I can't remember, I believe in the 90s, I may be wrong, was it Blue something? I can't remember what company it was, IBM that made it, Blue something, that basically it was the first, if I remember correctly, the first computer to beat a human at chess. And they're like, oh my God, this is like kind of like a big first breadcrumb of like computers taking over, right? That a computer beat someone in chess. AI beat a human in chess. Now, we all know you were never, as a human, ever going to be able to beat AI in chess. Pretty much ever, right? It's something we kind of have come to accept as society that no human will ever get smart enough to beat AI in chess. I mean, maybe, but let's be honest, not really, especially the exponential growth of AI and technology and programming. I know maybe it sounds really, really sad to say, but no human will ever beat AI at this point now in chess. However, one post I saw, I believe it was, I can't remember if it was on Reddit or Instagram, I can't remember where, that said that as humans, though, we still watch chess tournaments, and chess competitions are massive. No one really cares to watch an AI tournament. Now, why? Why do we want to watch humans? The reason why is there's something unique about it, right? Like, and this is something I saw that someone said, which is a great point, is like, look, there's something about knowing you, there's something going into it about you understanding you never know what could happen. Some people have bad days. Someone might blunder and do something they didn't mean to, and they're like, oh my God, that's a tense moment, right? Like, and that's true in any kind of performing art when you're watching something live. You don't know what's going to happen. With computers, it's a robotic structure that we don't really have a need for it, nor do we care about it. And now taking that to music, for example, could it be that, yeah, maybe, like I said with chess, AI can beat any human in chess, but we're not going to watch AI play chess. We kind of don't really care. We'd rather watch humans play chess because it's more intriguing. Likewise with AI music, even if it gets to this point, should we even be worried about it as musicians? Because even if AI music gets so good, could anyone ever really want, or would anyone ever want to see just a robot up there performing or DJing or just singing or whatever kind of performing they do or playing an instrument? No, I feel like most people would want to see a human, similar to that chess example, because, anything could happen. I mean, I hate to bring it up. Maybe I'll do a video about it. I'm not sure. But look what happened with Grimes, at least at the time of this video. That just happened a couple days ago with Grimes at Coachella. There is something human about knowing that it's so raw. And I think there's something really interesting too. I remember listening to a podcast about this when it comes to parkour and gymnastics, which I know sounds very random, but it's very relevant. That there's something very human about knowing something could go wrong when doing parkour that makes it more suspenseful, right? Take Alex Honnold when he did Free Solo, when he free soloed El Capitan. There was a risk he could fall and die. I'm not saying a high risk, it's tough to say exactly because I know he did it a million times, but even so, that's mind-blowing to us. If an AI did it, and you knew that it was an AI so they wouldn't be able to fall, or you knew that they were doing some stunt that they couldn't get hurt on doing, it would kind of lose the edge of not knowing what could happen. The unpredictability would be removed. Likewise, watching AI music perform, I do think maybe there's some aspect of maybe the unpredictability, maybe a bunch of other factors. It is tough to say, but I don't think, at least to me, when it comes to AI music and the whole situation that's going on right now, I don't think we'd ever have to worry about performances. But making music, like I showed you, with Suno and everything, making music it's never been easier. I didn't even know this is a thing. One of my friends showed me something on Splice called Stacks, in case you want to look into it, where you hit a button and it finds these samples on Splice, puts them together, mixes them together within seconds, and it kind of is kind of teetering on this fun thing of this almost very gray area, almost like the ship of Theseus. I think that's how I pronounce it, where, back in the day, you had to make everything on your own. And then royalty-free sample packs came out, but it was kick snares, like the Vengeance sample pack for my OG producers out there remember Vengeance. And then, as it progressed, now we're at the point where you go on Splice, download all these samples in a kit, put them into a song, and make a song within 30 seconds to a minute. Now you can go even faster than that, where you use something called Stacks on Splice. It finds the samples for you, mixes them for you, finds one that match together well, does all the pitch adjustment too in case there are different key signatures and keys, and makes a whole riff right there. And then all you have to do is arrange it, and then that's it. And it's like the ship of Theseus, which is a big thing in philosophy, which is, when does a ship start becoming a new ship, right? Like, to use the analogy, and this is like a big thing philosophers debate is like, if I have a ship and one piece of wood breaks and I replace that piece of wood, is that the same ship or is it a new ship? I think most people would say, like, well, it's the same ship, you just replaced one piece. But then, like, say I had to replace 5 pieces, and then 10 pieces, and then 11 pieces. At what point does that ship be considered an entirely new ship? For example, again, this is going down the rabbit hole, right? Again, very like fireside chat style video. If I have that ship and I replace, let's say there's 100, I'm gonna make this up, 100 pieces of wood on this ship, and I replace piece 1 at one point because it breaks, and then piece 2 at one point because it breaks, and let's say you do this over the course of years to the point where every piece of wood on that ship is completely new, and no piece of wood from the original ship exists. Is that the same ship or is it an entirely new ship? It's this gray area where I don't know, and you could debate this, right? This is a big thing that people debate in philosophy. Likewise, it does become a point now with Splice, for example, with Splice Stacks, which is, what is at the point where you're technically not really making the song yourself? I know I can make a sample-driven song that gets now arranged in 2 seconds by Stacks that's almost more of a riff. Did I make that song because I clicked the button? But if I didn't adjust anything, and like I say, just looped it, did I actually make this right? And this is going down this rabbit hole, and that's a big thing to consider too. I know because a lot of people, I've seen a lot of musicians say, AI music is cheating. Of course, it does everything for you. But what's the difference between something like this and something like Splice Stacks, where I hit a button and it does everything for me? They're kind of the same thing using AI, right? And this is where this whole gray area starts coming into play. I think a big thing, though, at the end of the day. At the end of all this, going down this aggressive rabbit hole that we could talk about for hours, and maybe we'll do another in-depth video. I do kind of like doing these 5-star chat stuff videos just to talk about my own theories, and people have said that they like them in terms of me just kind of going off the cusp of what I've learned so much about the music industry and now how it's affecting different things, now being AI. I think that I'm not too worried about live performances, but in terms of releasing music, I did a video about can you release AI music on DistroKid, for example. When it comes to releasing AI music and posting it and how easy it is to make, we're just, I think, not even entering. We are now in a real-life Black Mirror episode. We're now in a real-life Twilight Zone episode. And in some ways, it's kind of intriguing. Other ways, it's a bit almost scary, right? All I'm going to say is, however far we've come with AI is pretty incredible. But just to think about it, even in just 6 months or a year from the time of this video, because things go exponentially, and because things are growing faster and faster every month and every year and every week and every day even in the next 6 months to 1 year or 2 years, things are, which is going to sound crazy, when it comes to AI and especially now AI music, things are going to look vastly different. And what will that look like?